Look at that thing over there. What a disgrace. We should have put her up for adoption back then. My father's voice cut through the Langham Hotel ballroom's $10,000 sound system like a blade. Every one of the 214 guests immediately turned toward table 18, which was about 47 feet away from my family's main table, just past the restroom doors. Mother Eleanor lifted her champagne glass with an elegant flick and curled her lips into a cold smile. Keeping her was the biggest mistake we've ever made. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply picked up my phone, opened my email, and typed for words to my lawyer, "Execute Phoenix Plan." The moment I hit send, I knew that in 72 hours, the room that had mocked me for years would fall into silence, and the web of truth I had painstakingly woven would begin to close in. My name is Brenda Elwood. Let's rewind to March 2019. When the family business was on the brink, and I was about to become the unseen force controlling the empire my father had built. March 12th, Tuesday, 7:34 p.m., I was sitting in my $1,850 a month South Boston apartment, eating leftover Thai food. The aroma from the restaurant downstairs wafted up through the vents, familiar and slightly dull. The phone rang. It was Aunt Judith, my father's sister, sobbing on the other end. "Brenda, I shouldn't be calling, but you're the only one who'll understand. Grandpa's company is about to collapse, and Vincent refuses to admit it." I set down my fork, my heart sinking. Grandma's words echoed in my mind. 3 years ago, on her deathbed, she had called me close, gripping my hand tighter than ever before. "Brenda," she said, "your grandfather, Charles, built this company from nothing. If the day comes that it needs saving, the only person who can do it is you. Not Garrett, not your father, it's you. When that day comes, don't wait for their permission. You never needed it." She pressed a silver ring into my palm, simple and worn smooth by time once my mother's. After hanging up with Aunt Judith, I asked her to send the company's financial records. Over the next 72 hours, I devoured 340 pages of documents, 12 board reports, and 180 emails. Barely sleeping, fueled by 23 cups of coffee from the Dunkin' downstairs, I discovered that in November 2018, Garrett had abandoned Henderson, a stable client, in pursuit of a larger project. The Westbridge deal fell through. Henderson left with a $1.9 million annual contract to a competitor, and a 14-year partner in the Midwest followed. The company immediately lost $4.2 million in annual revenue. In subsequent emails, Garrett pinned the blame on the market and never admitted his mistake. I looked at my savings, $142,000, accumulated over 3 years of 60-hour work weeks, scrimping and saving. I faced a choice: watch the company collapse under my father's blind trust in Garrett, or step up and save it for the 85 families relying on their paychecks, for Grandpa's legacy, and for Grandma, who had always believed in me. I chose to fight. I contacted Boston corporate attorney Christopher Morgan to set up an LLC investment vehicle, keeping my involvement hidden. "This is your family's company, right?" Christopher guessed. "Yes," I said, "but they can't know." "Not yet." 11 days later, he could have everything ready but I needed $2.3 million. I pieced together the funds: $142,000 of my savings, a $520,000 home equity loan on my Boston apartment, $80,000 borrowed from Aunt Judith, who wired it immediately, interest-free, trusting me to tell her the truth later. I also secured a $60,000 high-interest personal loan. The remaining $1.5 million was arranged through company-backed credit. If the company failed, I would lose everything: my apartment, my savings, my future. But if I succeeded, I would control 51% of Lewood Industries, plus the 2% Grandma had quietly left me in a 1962 trust, totaling 53%. My father had no idea. On April 2nd, 2019, the transaction closed on the 33rd floor of Morrison & Reed in Chicago, overlooking Lake Michigan. Father, Garrett, Mother, Aunt Judith, 2 outside directors, and Christopher were present. 87 pages of documents were signed by my father at 3:52 p.m. The board unanimously approved. Garrett, standing behind Father, beamed and bragged about using his connections to bring in the investment. Little did he know, Silver Point Holdings, the entity funding the company, was mine. For the next 6 years, I worked my day job at Horizon Partners in Boston while secretly running Lovewood Industries every night at 11. I issued directives under Silver Point's name, from strategy to operations adjustments. Under my guidance, the company recovered By August 2019, cash flow turned positive. By December, we signed two major clients worth $1.8 million, while Garrett pocketed a $15,000 bonus for his so-called leadership and turnaround. When COVID hit in March 2020, Garrett proposed laying off 32 employees. I ordered the company to pivot to essential equipment and apply for a PPP loan, saving all 85 jobs. Every morning at 5:30, rain or snow, I ran 5 miles along the Charles River, reminding myself I was in control. Then I went to Horizon Partners, closed million-dollar deals, returned home, and issued Silver Point directives until midnight. No one, not my boss, colleagues, or family knew I was the ghost protecting them. I once received a card from Sarah Mitchell, a supply chain coordinator and single mom of 14 years. My daughter is going to college this year because you saved my job. I don't know who you are, but you saved my family. I placed it beside Grandma Essie prayer card, the only gratitude I received in 6 years. In June 2021, I was promoted to Senior Associate at Horizon Partners, $185,000 base, $50 to $80,000 bonus. Sharing this in the family group chat earned nothing but my father's good and Garrett's perfunctory congrats, little sis. That Thanksgiving, I made a mistake. I went home. 6 hours of driving, full of hope that my achievements would finally earn recognition. I brought a $60 bottle of wine. Mother complained I wasn't wearing a dress. Achi, the 20-person dinner. I was seated at the kids' table with cousins aged 9, 12, and 14. Garrett sat with my parents at the head table. Father announced Garrett would succeed as CEO of Lewitt Industries in the coming years. Everyone cheered. No one looked at me. After dinner, I was in the kitchen helping clean up when I overheard my mother talking to my 2 aunts. Garrett did really well. Eleanor, you must be so proud, Aunt Rachel said. Of course, Mother replied. He's exactly what the company needed. And Brenda? Rachel asked. What's she doing? Mother waved her hand dismissively. Oh, she's still working in Boston. We've been telling her to settle down, find a husband, but she won't listen. I stood about 10 feet away, silently wiping dishes. In that moment, my heart went completely cold. I left the house at 9, saying I had to be at work Monday morning. No one tried to stop me. The 6-hour drive home was a blur of tears. The darkness outside barely softened my sobs. I had to pull over twice. Yet, by 5:30 a.m. Monday, I was back at the Charles River, running my usual morning 5 miles. By 11 p.m., I was issuing directives for the company, keeping it from falling further into Garrett's repeated mistakes.